fépp lay fay.
sant yàlla.
looy xaar utal Wave nga scan nga fay te nag doo ci yokku dara.
Jar Oil, the company, have filling stations across the country, and our rates are relatively cheaper than anyone else across the country. Jar Oil is the biggest producer and distributor of cement in the country with the most competitive prices in the market.
In the Gambia, we all move to different paces. Time is money, convenience is power, and now both are in your hands. No more long lines, no more late payments, no more missed chances. Not anymore. Because now the Gambia has its own super app, Zap. One app, one tap, endless convenience. Send money instantly, pay your bills in seconds, shop without borders, pay your rides, order your meal, buy your ticket, deposit and withdraw money for absolutely free. No extra charges, no hidden fees, only on Zap Super App. This is not just convenience. This is confidence. This is the future in your hands. And the best part, Zap is born right here. Built for us, designed for every Gambian home, every Gambian dream. So don't wait in the past. Step into the future. Download Zap today on App Store and Play Store and enjoy endless free services. Call us today on our toll-free number 1666 or on 260-0001. Zap, all in one, all for you. Tap in, zap in.
On Tuesday, the 2nd of December 2025, it's coffee time with Peter Gomez. Our guest is Mr. Seedy Keita. He's the Minister of Finance and Economic Affairs. On Friday this week, the 5th of December, he will deliver his 2026 budget speech, and he is here in a pre-budget conversation. Seedy, how does this budget align with the Popular National Development Plan? And if there are gaps, where are those gaps?
Well, of course, as you know, every element of the budget goes through several iterations, so all are anchored on the NDP, like infrastructure, education, health. These are all pillars of the National Development Plan, and it's very centered along those lines. The allocation effectively indicate those.
Okay.
Yes, certainly.
And I'll be taking, a few questions for you later on. But any aspect of the budgeting process you'd like to discuss before we start taking questions?
Well, I think we at the ministry, we are very pleased with the support of the executive, particularly His Excellency the President and Cabinet.
It's his budget.
Yes, I'm delivering on his behalf. But you know what he could have done? No. He could have said, look, this is an election year. I don't care about your fiscal rules. I don't care about your fiscal prudence. Go with the maximum deficit to fund my aspirations.
He didn't say that.
That's not there. In fact, there's a reduction on deficit.
Critics have sought to put that in
It's not there. It's the numbers are out there. It's the lowest deficit in 10 years in an election year. Nobody would have expected that. If we had only a latitude of a deficit of 5%, every wish for him as a President of the Republic would be fulfilled. Because we'll be not short of money. We'll just go on a borrowing spree, do what people think we're going to do. But I think the President is not only going to win on the basis of budget, but in
the budget is going to win him?
I'm saying he's not only going to win. Let me be clear, because sometimes people misunderstand me. I say the President
these people on TikTok, they will just slice that bit
and I'm a victim of that all the time. What I'm trying to, the President is not only going to win on the basis of this budget, but the President is going to win in the confidence the Gambians have in him over his track record of delivery. I think this budget is just a dot on the successes of the President. He has improved access to electricity, what aspect of this economy has not grown under his leadership? Tell me. Today, as I was coming in, my travel time from my home to this West Coast has been reduced more than half. Can you imagine the economic impact of that? Today, we are having electricity at subsidized rate, and NAWEC has not done badly of late.
No.
Today, how much healthcare? Today, we have subsidies in the agricultural sector of more than 50%. Even I forgot to mention the tractors are being subsidized. So,
Oh, you have tractors? I heard that.
the distribution were done.
I heard that the Barrow government came,
Yes.
took away the tractors that Yaya Jammeh had given to farmers, and substituted them instead with donkeys.
Well, that could be theory there. I cannot comment on things I've not witnessed. But what I can tell you, His Excellency President is, in fact, imagine, under his leadership, in the space of 9 years, the wage bill of the civil service has increased 110%. Tell me one president that has done that in this country. In 9 years. If we've been getting 110% in every 9 years, where would be the wage level of Gambians be today?
The flip side to that, critics would say,
Yes.
is an increase in the debt stock.
No, absolutely not quite. The increase in the debt is not predicated on the salary increase. Most of the debt have gone into fiscal investment in the form of expansion. That's what I'm explaining. So that's why I'm saying in this year's budget is, in fact, the worry for most people is in an election year spending splurge. But it's a contradictory one. In an election year, you have the lowest budget deficit in more than 10 years. Technically, they will say, what are you thinking about? Don't your president want to? But I believe this budget is just one of his successes. He has acquired several successes that has given the confidence of the Gambian citizens to believe in him and will give him a win in the next year's election, God willing.
Okay, but how resilient is this budget to external shocks? You've talked about, or rather the global economic...
Yeah, we've been very careful about that. And like I said, the grant element that we've put in the budget are only those ones that have been confirmed. We've not put any speculative element in the budget, like to say nice to have or likely will happen. No. If we put like budget support from the World Bank, we know that the program will be containing that. And this is how sure we are.
Okay.
Yes.
Messages have been coming in,
Yes.
or let's see what the listeners want to know about. Hi, Uncle Peter. Can you please ask the Honorable Minister Seedy Keita what they can do as a government or in the 2026 national budget to stop NAWEC from charging more and giving fewer units in cash power? For instance, every 100 purchased, $40 is deducted, and you are only given 60 units. This has been going on for 3 or more years now. This is from Abdullah Ba.
Well, in fact, he has been answered in my earlier intervention that the energy sector is subsidized to the tune of $1 billion. So NAWEC has been supported fiscally from the budget.
Yeah. Here's a similar question.
Yes.
Good morning, Uncle Peter. Can you please ask the minister why NAWEC is still taking money away from people if you buy cash power? They take 30% of any amount you buy, and he claims the government is subsidizing the energy sector.
No, I think I don't want to jump there. But
Mr. Gallo said, if you're listening,
but I think I don't know, but I you might have some service charge, because you're buying from a system.
To 30%?
No, I cannot say that. I want to see that verified by NAWEC, because that's a question I cannot answer. But I will not be surprised if you go and pay online. Sometimes, depending on the transaction you do, some will charge you a commission of some sort. But I cannot see a commission reaching 30%. But NAWEC is the best authority to respond to that.
They have a program here every Thursday.
Yeah,
so
let them take that on board.
Hopefully they'll deal with this in 2 days' time. Good morning, Uncle Peter. Please ask the Honorable Keita, why was the Reparations Commission allocated $30 million for operations and payments to victims? This is a drop in the ocean. We're now coming to allocations.
Well, yes, it's not, because reparation is a process. and I think that there's a whole mechanism behind that. I don't want to comment on something that I cannot verify, but certainly I think reparation there's a whole work that goes behind it, and that number must have been informed by the work done by that team.
Okay.
Yes.
Good morning, Uncle Peter and Honorable Minister of Finance and Economic Affairs. With all the population of 400 to 5,000 persons with disabilities in the Gambia, why are we, the PWDs, kept being buffeted? Only $4 million for the past 2 years. I feel we, the PWDs, are completely segregated, marginalized, and also completely neglected by the duty bearers, including the Minister of Finance. And this is from Lamin Mane, Chairman and Secretary General of the National Organization for Disabled and Orphans in the Gambia. Are you marginalizing
Absolutely
us?
not. Absolutely. In fact, we take particular care of this segment because the budget has an allocation.
$4 million. That's what he's claiming.
No, I'm coming. It has an allocation of people of the vulnerable segments of society under the Gender Ministry. So they do the cash disbursement to identify, because you have to be identified, and this work is done by the Gender Ministry, and the cash, the support to the vulnerable. We have a social register, not only persons with disability, but every vulnerable segment of society identified in the social register is supported through the NAFA program of the World Bank support, as well as the National Secretariat National Social Protection Secretariat. They have done extensive work, and their transfers are ongoing. So we hear him and let him be assured. While he may think it's a drop in the ocean in the scheme of things, but they are not left behind.
So, Lamin, I hope that is enough assurance.
Yes.
This one, yes, I could see it coming.
Yes.
Good morning, Uncle Peter. Please ask the Minister whether there can be any salary increment or allowance for the entire civil servants in the new budget. This is coming from Mamadou Diallo.
Well, I just mentioned that we have done 60% increase in the last 3 years, and 110% increase in the last 9 years. So we do not have any plan, but of course there will be room for promotions, recruitments in the wage bill. That is, but no overall salary increase is featured in this budget. But notwithstanding, I think we just implemented a huge salary increase about a year ago. So certainly, you have to take a breathing space when you do something, see results, and then until we have the fiscal space, I can assure you, and I can assure every citizen, the President, His Excellency, is very focused about the well-being of Gambians. And he keeps me on my toes to make sure that we mobilize money for development, we mobilize resources for the well-being of Gambians. That's why we have been able to do, in 3 years, a 60% increase in the wage bill. And that's not a mean feat.
Yeah, people will say, yes, you have increased salary 3 times, but it's not keeping up with the skyrocketing cost of living.
Well, yes, that's
so what does he say to you about the rising cost of living? That's one thing people consistently moan about every day.
But this is a moving target, and we are working on different fronts. Rising cost of living is driven by a number of factors. One is the supply side, and we are happy to report that today, as we speak, a bag of rice has come down. I'm not advertising for him.
Oh, no, it's okay. He's a sponsor.
No, I'm just explaining his intervention and the GGC intervention in the rice sector has reduced a bag of rice. Now, he's selling at wholesale 1,650, at retail about 1,700. And I'll be very happy to...
So now people can buy rice at less than 2,000?
Certainly. Of course. it's a choice.
Yeah,
if
yeah.
you want a certain brand of rice, you may get it for 3,000.
Yes.
But this is the average that I consume.
That's what I'm saying.
So basically,
if you have less than $2,000, it is possible
you
to
can
get
a
rice.
bag of rice.
Yes.
And this is like the lowest price in the sub-region. And just let Gambians verify this for themselves. The people who live in the border, people who commute. How many times have you seen people buying a bag of rice from Senegal and bringing it to Gambia? But I do see several times people put truckloads of bag of rice from here out. So that means that we are cheaper. That's the only way to verify. That's one of the ways to verify. And why I would harp on this, if we go back, when we had this a force of its kind support from Badia through a loan facility, which we on lent to
Arab
JA.
Bank for Development.
Yes. You remember the noise that came out of it?
Yes.
Oh no, they was favoring him. His you mentioned it. I was on the floor of the house defending it everywhere in the media. But today we have the results. On the backdrop of that intervention of 50 million, it has given JA Oil the financial muscle.
Which was not money government was giving to him.
Yes, it was a loan.
Yes.
We were only facilitating.
You were just guarantors.
Yes, we were, and in fact, he has fully paid it off. Not a dime is outstanding. And government had not paid a single penny in that intervention. But
Let's say the taxpayer has not lost a single butut in the process.
Yes, and as such, but look at the economic gains. So it means that the gains to every citizen of that transaction, which government only facilitated, is a reduction from maybe 2,000 to 1,700 at the retail, 300 per bag. You multiply that by the number of bags, and this is the transaction. If he repeats that, and now what is likely going to happen, I'm not aware of it yet, but I'm sure will likely happen, other suppliers in the rice value chain will follow suit. So you will have a downward spiral in the price of rice. So that is what we are doing. And the supply side, and on the production side, government is really supporting the rice production. And we believe as the supply side increase, cost of living is a universal phenomenon, and it's not unique to Gambia on the onslaught of COVID.
I've just coincidentally opened 2 text messages that speak about the same subject. I'll just read them as they are. Good morning, Uncle Peter. Kindly ask the Honorable Minister, when will the government look into the earnings of pensioners and increase their pension? Pensioners are struggling with daily survival because of low pension earning. And the other one says, thanks, Seedy, good and explicit explanation. Is there anything to address the disparity in the pay system of pensions? Obviously, some of us are not living, says a retired pensioner.
Well, yes.
The plight of pensioners.
No, I think in the last wage increase, we have set a floor of pensions. I think, if my memory serves me well, I don't remember any pensioners going home with less than 1,000. So the last pay increases are factored in the pensioners. They are a valuable segment of society. They have served the country, and now in their retirement, we want to see them retire in dignity. And whenever we're doing any wage bill increase, they will be as they will be featuring as actively as the existing workers. So it's just that we are not featuring any salary increase in this budget. But whenever we are looking at salary, we certainly will take them on board.
You're taking your questions and comments on 7711599 and 8646464. Hi, Uncle Peter. Please ask the Minister, considering inflationary pressures affecting households, what specific budget interventions are planned for 2026 to stabilize prices and protect vulnerable populations?
Well, energy is a large part of any inflation, and the fact that we are subsidizing energy and we continue to subsidize, that's one. If you look at even our fuel pricing, petrol products, we are very mindful of its impact on the transporters, on the entire citizenry, and we will, to the best extent possible, subsidize that. And in fact, in the month of December, you've seen the prices have remained the same. Meanwhile, the combination of the price structure has resulted in an increase overall. we could have increased the price of, I think, diesel to 87, but we have kept it at the same price, which is effectively a subsidy. So this is how we manage the impact on the citizen. And we continue to support the entire population in the education sector by continuing to offer free education. And in the higher education sector, government is offering scholarships to the tune of, I think, almost easily half of the University of the Gambia students are on government scholarships. So you can, those are the interventions we have put in this budget. And the budget also feature innovative financing, more options for higher education, like the education loan scheme. It's a feature of this budget. Now, those citizens that are not fortunate to have the scholarship can now go onto the education loan trust and will be provided financing to finance their higher education, which is happening everywhere in the world. It's giving every Gambian an opportunity to develop yourself. Gone should be those days you say, I cannot pay for my education, I don't have a scholarship, nobody can pay for me, so I cannot do it. With the loan scheme, it will open that door and unleash that potential for every human in this country if you're prepared to pursue higher education.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a fundamental departure and a major reform in human capital development in this country. Mm-hmm. It's the first of its kind.
This is just a comment,
yes.
Not a question. All developments are at the expense of taxpayers, so bravo to the taxpayers for condoning the situation.
Well, we thank them, of course, but I think tax paying is not only an economic issue, it's a civic duty, because you have to have your skin in the game. And that's why, it's a very liberal government taking dissenting views. And we believe that the taxpayers are seeing where their monies are going. And that to us, that's predictability is very important in a tax reform. Because today, I can quote for you Hakalang. I drove on that road, and in fact, I was instinctively impulsed to call the president and say, Your Excellency, this is money well spent. When we went for the inauguration, I mean, my folks from Nyomi are really have been upgraded. I can't stop but tell my auntie, how have you people been living without this before? It's transformative. You go to Kiang West. I mean, I used to go to Kiang West in the early 90s. My wife was working there, so she was like around Kulikunda, so she would come with a bike to pick me up, and it used to take us about almost 30 to 40 minutes on bike to get to Kulikunda from Sankandi, motorbike. Mm-hmm. Today, it's less than 10 minutes drive, 20 minutes, you are there.
Wow.
And on all paved road, of course, not to talk of the North Bank access, you can drive literally from every part of the Gambia to the very end and come back to where you started within 24 hours. This was impossible. When I was in high school, we used to take the 9 o'clock GPTC bus at summer. We would not arrive in Banjul until maybe 2 o'clock sometimes. You can imagine the loss of productivity, the loss of time, the wear and tear of the vehicle. Today, if you leave summer 9 o'clock, I bet you can be here before 12 o'clock. Within 3 hours, you can make it to Banjul. That's transformative. Today, you don't longer need to be in the urban area to do a welding work for your house you're building in, let's say, Pakale or elsewhere. Welding shops are mushrooming everywhere.
Are they?
Yes, because of access to electricity. Today, you can build a house in as remote a part of the Gambia as it is, and you will be sure you have most of your welding work done within your locality. So, transportation costs, in terms of its impact, in terms of depreciation, wear and tear on the vehicles, have gone down. And this is where people should understand the impact of infrastructure. It has been established that $1 invested in infrastructure generates a return of $4. You cannot have it better than that. But of course, it doesn't mean your government will come and put in everybody's pocket $4. It means your travel time is shorter, you have electricity, and you can do business faster, you have better access. So these are some of the developments that these investments are doing. Yes.
Why is the National Assembly increasing their salaries and allowances as well as widening their pensions and gratuities while the rest of the civil service workers are left with pittance? Where is the fairness?
Well, I cannot comment on that because that's a constitutional requirement that independent institutions budget, such as the National Audit Office, the Independent Election Commission, the Judiciary, and the National Assembly budget are not reviewable by the executive. That's what's in the Constitution. So, I mean, I can comment on areas within my competence, within my ability to influence. But unfortunately,
so
that's
even if you disagree with it, there's nothing you can
no
do
comment.
about it.
No comment on that. It's not outside my zone of competence.
Hi, Uncle Peter. Kindly ask the Minister for an update on the Sterling licensing issue review. What's Sterling licensing?
Well, I think it's about digital telecom. But again,
oh,
Peter,
this is Starlink.
Starlink.
No, because it's spelled Sterling.
No, but
and I thought this was the pound. That's the Starlink.
I'm not a technology minister, and I would rather focus
that for
on
Mr. Jabi.
Yes, you know, I like to
We've tried to get him on the program. Dr. Cisse has promised a million times.
I always try to work within my circle of competence.
Yeah, sure.
Yes, certainly. That's outside my zone.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Circle of competence.
Yes.
You hear people say that the public, you know, the citizens should be involved in the process of, creating the budget. How much grassroots involvement is there, in budgets so far that you've presided over, especially this 2026
No,
budget?
actually, the budget directorate do a lot of engagement at the grassroots. They will do workshops. They invite people.
Who do they talk to? Is it just the CSOs?
No, even they do. They converse. They consult diverse segments of society. They do validation workshops. They will do pre-budget discussions. Budget bilaterals are held with the sectors. But outside even the formal government structure, I think this workshop that organized by the Budget Directorate of the Ministry is very open, and every citizen. And by the way, it's not only when those sessions are taking place. Any citizen can write to the ministry and give their contribution and say, this is our position paper on the budget going forward. And it will be taken on board if we believe it is in line with the fiscal situation. So it's an open door policy. Two heads are better than one. Maybe there could be some insight from a citizen that we at the ministry may not be aware of. So there's no harm to say, don't write to us. No, they can write. Normally I think we should encourage this, and I would engage every citizen to do so if they have the time. You can do a position paper. You can even do, general discussion to say, look, we're going into the budget of next year. Next year, we want to see certain sectors prioritized. Maybe it will give us a nudge. It will give us an inkling to say, this segment, can we look at it? And then the sector ministry concerned will be involved, and perhaps it can make a difference. Mm-hmm. So certainly that's on board. Mm-hmm. But it need not just stop there. Every citizen is encouraged to participate in the budgetary process by writing either to the line ministry concerned or to the ministry, so that their views can be taken on board. Mm-hmm. Yes.
What you've sought to do in the past 1 hour, 1.5 hours, is to present a well-intentioned budget.
Yes.
But how do you think this constant perception of corruption and efficiency might undermine this budget?
Well, I think this is another public, widely discussed, but I'm a bit. We are a listening government, and what is happening now? More accountability is on the table. More access to information is available. There is wider social media, so which we encourage. Because if as they say in England, see it, say it, and it's sorted. You understand? What is happening is the amplification of the incidences of corruption. I will not say that I have authority to be able to gauge the level of corruption, but there is a reference. We all know Transparency International is an international organization that publishes annual indexes of corruption perception across the world. Currently, they are covering about 180 countries. And this is how the evolution of Gambia's performance on this index has been. In 2016, Gambia's score on this index, and it's on the public domain. Any Gambian can go. It's called ti.org. That's their website. Is the most reputable international organization that conducts research globally to gauge and vet the perception of corruption. In 2016, Gambia's ranking on this score was about 130 out of 180. And our score was about 30. So on this score, the lower the ranking, the better. So if you are 1, that means you are least corrupt. If you are 100, the higher the number, the more the perception. Really bad, yes. Okay, we were 130 in 2016. As of the last year, when this publication was issued, Gambia's ranking has moved from 130 to 96. So 130 to 96 is like 34 places. And our absolute ranking has increased from 30 to 38. So what is happening is more discussion is taking place now, but the results, I'm not saying it's not there. I'm just saying what is out there, which has been researched, and I'm sure Transparency has no interest in favoring Gambia's ranking. This is a neutral global body that publishes perception of corruption index. And I would urge the people discuss saying about corruption to do some homework in this area to ensure that it's not just you see a transaction that's been reported on social media of a couple of millions and oops, the whole country is corrupt. I'm not holding brief, but I'm saying what is out there. So you could see in this dispensation, we've moved 34 places. Our score has increased. And not only that, in terms of ranking, and these rankings are after a rigorous process, and they've been tried and tested. Unfortunately, the people exclaiming of widespread corruption as if it is worse, the data is speaking to the contrary. I'm not saying it. It's out there. What we encourage, and which is positive, is the more it is discussed, I'm sure the more the concept will be discouraged.
Absolutely.
And we're getting there. Absolutely. And we are not stopping there. We have instituted a number of measures. The digitalization we talk about, there is no better deterrent to corruption efforts than digitalization. Gambia has set up anti-corruption commission. It's almost up and running. Commissioners have been identified. And we, on our own, voluntarily went to say, look, this is a menace to our development. How do we tackle this? And we went into a governance diagnostics to really understand the vulnerabilities to corruption. And we have, as we speak, identified a roadmap on how to tackle this. It's not unique to Gambia. It's a global phenomenon. And we know
when will that roadmap be publicly shared?
No, it was published on our website of the ministry.
Okay.
The people talking about this have not even looked into it. We have published the roadmap of the governance diagnostic on our website to say this is what government have seen as items of vulnerability, and these are the milestones that we should do to get there. Fantastic. And one way of it is this public discourse. The more it's talked about, the more the phenomenon is shown and discouraged, and I'm sure it's positive, but it is not true, based on data, that this government is more corrupt. In fact, the data is turning to the other direction. And I'm not saying this. It's done by international publication houses.
Okay.
That's one. If you also look at World Bank conducts what they call CPIA, Country Portfolio and Institutional Assessment. that looks at the institutional strength of the government of every country that it assesses. And this year, our ranking has moved from less than 3 to 3.2. We have outperformed the sub-Saharan African average, and our score is an indication that our reforms and our institutions are getting stronger. So while the general layman out there, I'm not sorry if I get it wrong, while the general perception out there is that corruption is on the rise and is rampant, unfortunately, the data that is published is pointing to the other direction. So we here, and the government is doing everything possible to tackle the menace and discourage it to the best extent possible.